I've been asked to do a tutorial on random numbers. I have done them before, but someone wants a better explanation. So I'm calling this tutorial Random Number Explained Flash AS3. Going to start a new FLA, and naturally I want to select Action Script 3. And I'm going to open my timeline here. All I have is an actions layer. Call this actions. Usually I just put AS there, but I'm going to put actions this time. And open up the actions panel right here. If you don't have it here, go up under window and you'll find it somewhere there. Actions, and click on it and it will open. So mine is already here. And type this code. Actually, you can type it and then wait for the explanation, or you can do the explanation first, then type it. Anyway, 2 backslashes. Flash doesn't recognize this as code, so it's just notes for yourself. I'm going to make a variable, var, mine turns purple, space. I'm calling it my number, a capital M and a capital N, colon, number, capital N-U-M-B-E-R. This turns blue on my computer. And there's a semicolon. A variable is a place where we're going to store this generated number. And to generate a number or to do anything, we need a function. So there's function, turns the same color as variable. And I'm calling this function generate a number, G-E-N-N-U-M-B-E-R, capital G, capital N. Open and close bracket, colon, void. Void is the same color as function. There's an open curly bracket for the function, and usually as you start typing in this closed curly bracket will come in. If not, you have to put it in. Copy my number, paste it in, equals math period random. This is the actual part that generates this random number. Capital M, small r, if you have the right spacing and spelt right, it'll turn blue. Open close bracket semicolon. Trace. Trace is just a means of checking things when we test our programs out. It's going to appear in something called the output panel. So TRACE turns blue. Open bracket. Copy this my number again. You already have it copied, so you might just be able to press paste, but copy and paste it in. Close bracket semicolon. Don't do this yet. There's the closed curly bracket. And if I didn't have this get number, nothing would happen, but this actually says call up this function and the function will generate as a random number. So let's do that. Control, test movie test, and no errors, and it generated a number decimal 9. So now what do we get from generating a number from this math random? We get numbers that go from, they say 0, but I've never seen a 0, and they say it goes to unity 1, and I've never seen it reach 1. So it's somewhere between 0.000000 something up to 0.999999 something. So let's now put 2 forward slashes here, // and now write this line. Trace, open bracket, math, period, round. Open bracket, there's that my number again. Close bracket, semicolon. Now what we're going to do is round up this number. Okay, so let's just see what that looks like. Control, test movie, test. 1. So now, if I go back and show this, both of them, we'll see what the program generated and what was rounded up to. It was a 0.1, and if you round 0.1 up to a whole number here, it's going to be 0. This would have to be greater than 5. Now, I'll try it again. Control, test movie, test. 0.7 rounded up to a 1. So that would be nice, but it would also be nice to see what else we could do with it. So let's here do this, and we're going to now trace three things. We're going to now trace what we rounded up to and what it would be if it's multiplied by 10. So trace, open bracket, math period round, same as this line, open bracket, my number, same my number. This is the asterisk, the uppercase of the number 8, that means multiply. 10, close bracket, semicolon. Now let's see when we do this. There's what it generated. Because if I rounded it up and it's only a 3, it would be a 0. But if I multiply 0.37 by 10, it would be 3.7 rounded up to a decimal number, and there's my decimal number 4, my whole number. So that would be probably what you would use. You wouldn't use this line, and you wouldn't use this line. Just putting forward slashes. This is what you would use. Now let's get rid of all this for a minute. Now don't erase it, just highlight it all. Come up here, and it says apply block comment, and watch. It puts a forward slash and an asterisk here, and a forward slash and an asterisk here, so that this would not be seen. For some reason I got 2 when I must hit it twice. There. That's not looked at by the computer anymore. Now come down a few lines and put some more code in. And again, we have this line that is just recognized as information. Some of this, if you want to take your time when you're doing it, you can look, you might be able to copy and paste it. A variable, my number, colon number, again, that's the same. Now this time we're going to have it happen over and over and over again. So up there, when we first did it, it only happened once. But that's what this does. So stage, S-T-A-G-E, turns blue, period. Add event listener. An event listener is what's used to say, I'm waiting for something to happen. In this case, I'm waiting for it to come into this frame. So ADD, capital E-V-E-N-T, capital L, I-S-T-E-N-E-R, open bracket, event, capital E, that turns blue, period. Enter, underscore frame, all uppercase, turns blue if it's done right, comma, and I'm calling this gen number, generated number, G-E-N, capital N-U-M-B-E-R, capital G, capital N, close bracket, semicolon. Now I'm calling this function, and there's that. You can copy this gen number and paste it in. Open bracket, small e, colon, event, the same event here with the capital E, you can copy it and paste it. Close bracket, colon, void. Here is the open curly bracket for this function. There's the closed curly bracket for this function. Copy my number equals math random. So this number is going to be equal to this math random, same as up here. Open close bracket, semicolon, and we're going to trace this number that we just made. Now this is going to happen over and over and over and over, and this way here we'll see the range of this generator. Now we'll let it run for a bit. And I've let this run many minutes, and I've never seen anything greater than a few zeros, but there you can see 0.09 and you can see 0.9, but never is there a 1, and never have I seen all zeros or all 9s. I don't think you'll ever see a 1. Go back to the action script. We'll leave that one here and we'll put in a new one. We'll trace this math round, same as up here of my number. So you can actually go up there and copy that line and bring it down. So let's do this. Let it run for a little bit. Now we're rounding it. And stop. So here, where I see, well, let's go to the top. Here's my generated number, decimal 0, round it becomes 0. Here I have 0 decimal 89. If you round that up, it becomes a 1. So you can see with this, you're either going to have one or two things. You're either going to generate a 1 or a 0 once you round it up. Makes sense. It's going to be 1 or a 0 because I'm rounding up a decimal number. If it's below 0.5, it'll be a 0. If it's above 0.5, it'll be a 1. Hardly useful, so 2 forward slashes, get rid of that. But now let's do this. It's the same line, except when I have my number here, I'm asterisk, which is multiplied by 10. So now I'm taking it, whatever I generated, and multiplying it by 10, and you'll see a big difference. And this is the one that you might use a lot. This is the one that I think will be used a lot. If I have a 0.7, it gets rounded up. It's going to be 0.7. If you multiply that by 10, you get 7. Decimal 0, but it's rounded. So 8 here, 0.08, becomes 0.1, and then multiply that by 10, you get a 1. Here, I have 8, which is bigger than 5, makes this 2 a 3, multiply that by 10, you get 3. 7 times 10 is 7. 0 there, but it's rounded up to a 1. 1 times 10 is 1. So I think that makes some sense. Let's do the same thing here. Let's click here and take all of that, go up here and put a block around it. Okay, we're down a little bit, down the page here, and more stuff for you to type in. Now we're going to use an integer. An integer is a whole number, like 1, 7, 2,400, 1 million. Anything that doesn't have a decimal in it, or anything that doesn't have a fraction. If it has a fraction or a decimal, it's not an integer. So here I've got 2 forward slashes, and again telling myself that this is an integer. Generate many random numbers using an integer. So here, when I make my variable, instead of making it a number, I'm going to make it an integer. Because up here, when I did it, I made it a number. Now I'm making an integer, and that's already going to make the rounding for me, sort of thing. So this is the same. So you can copy this. Actually, you can copy these 2 lines here. They're exactly the same. Paste them in. There's my open curly bracket. Now I'm saying my number is equal to math period random. So I'm generating that number. Open close bracket. Now I'm putting some specifications on this. Now these specifications you could have put on the other ones, but I'm just going to do them now. So it's asterisk 5 plus 10 semicolon. I'll explain that after. And now we're going to trace that number. So you go up here and copy this, trace my number, paste it in, and there's my closed curly bracket for my function. So now let's see this for a minute. Control, test movie, test. And let's let it run. Now, if you looked at these numbers, you'll see everything from 10 to 14. I see 10, I see 11, 12, 13s. I see everything from 10 to 14. If I go back here, and that's because of this. Okay? This number here, this asterisk 5 plus 10, this 10, that's the lowest number that this program will generate. And why is it the lowest number? Because if my random generator generated something that was like a 0, for example, if it generated something with a decimal 0, times 5 would be 0, add 10, so there's where I get my 10. On the other hand, if it generated something like 0.9, 0.9 would be 4.5, but it's not rounded, so it would stay 4. So it would be 4 plus 10 equals 14. So let's try that again. Explain it to you. If this generated a number 0.9, 0.9 multiplied by 5 would be 45. 45.45, 45. Because there's no rounding, we keep just the 4. 4 plus 10 is 14. If I wanted this to make a numbers that went from 10 to 15, I would make this a 6. And lo and behold, I go from 10 up to 15. I don't know that that helps you anymore, but this is the one I would use if I was making a game, like a dice game or spinning a wheel or something where you needed a number. So now let's say we want to generate it, and I'm going to just type in right here for a minute, up here. Let's say we want to generate a number that went from 22 to 29, for example. And I told you that this number here is going to be the smallest of these two. And that makes sense because when this random number generates a 0 and I add 22, that'll give me my 22. Now I want to be able to generate something which is the difference of these, which is 7. So if I put a 7 here, let's do that first. And knowing we want to get these two numbers. So now I got to put some forward slashes here so this doesn't recognize this as code. So let's check this out. Control test movie test. But if we look, we know we're not going to get a 29 because we can never reach a 1 here. So this always has to be one more than the sum of these becoming this. Okay? So that 22 plus this is always 1 greater than the maximum number. Now let's test this out, and we should generate a 29. I see it already. 29. Let's see one there. There it is there. So this generates numbers from 22, and there's my 22. So what you need to know is use this code here, make this the smallest number that you want to generate, and make this plus this 1 greater than the largest number you want to generate. I hope that helped you out.